is lifelong learning so important? What's it all about? Do you think that after you've left school, that's it? I think most of us know, especially those of us of a certain age, know that actually the majority of our learning happens way after we've left school. And those of us who went to college and university will also know that that was just a tiny start of this whole journey of lifelong learning. Anyway, welcome to Wednesday Wandering. Me, Cate Field, wandering about stuff, not just wandering off. I'm an artist, teacher and speaker, and I am passionate about helping people find their creative spirit, and once they've found it, to nurture it. And one of the ways that we can nurture our creativity is through learning. Now, it's one of those things that you're either like really into it or you're not. But I think that we have this confusion about what we actually mean when we talk about learning. Because for me, every time we do something that's slightly out of our comfort zone, that is something different, we are learning. And sometimes a learning takes a very formal approach, and you could do a course on something, learning a new language or something like that. But it could also be learning how to use your new iPhone, that kind of thing. And all the time we are learning, something happens in our brain that goes ding, yay, we are still alive. we're still here, people. We are still here. So I'm going to divide this talk, I think, into three. I'm just going to have a look at my notes. I've got some notes. Get me with my notes. Because I was thinking about these themes. So yeah, I'm thinking three themes. The kind of the mindset that we need, and I've spoken about mindset before, and then the actual joy, the absolute joy of learning something new, and then this kind of what I call a ripple effect. I don't think it's original. I'm sure someone else has thought of that before me. But it's this ripple effect that once we start to learn something, it opens up our minds, our brain's neural connections go, yep, here we go, we're learning something new. And then that leads to, oh, well, I've learned that, now I can learn this. And you know what it's like when you start to learn about a certain subject, you can then go down various little alleyways, little rabbit warrens that might take you to a whole variety of different places that you never thought that you would do. So for me, it's the excitement and the joy and that kind of curiosity that I have naturally that has really made me be a lifelong learner. And I love learning new things and exploring things, which sometimes I feel there's not enough life, is there? How am I going to fit all of this in? I want to do this and this and this and this. Oh, and that's interesting. Oh, look at that. That is really interesting. And that can be a little bit overwhelming. We're not going to be overwhelmed. We're not going to be overwhelmed today. We're going to really think about how we can employ this mindset of lifelong learning. And it's got absolutely nothing to do with how intelligent you are, how educated you are, and how old you are. Nothing to do with that at all. It really hasn't. It's about mental agility, and we can learn that. And you might think that it's no good, I'm just like a slug. I'm just like, it's not true. It really is not true. It's about being creative and innovative, but it's also about your self-worth, isn't it? So every time you have read a recipe and cooked something from the recipe, that is you learning something, isn't it? There are loads of ways that we can incorporate learning something into our absolute daily lives. with this. And sometimes those that sort of learning process can be very quick, and other types of learning take time and effort and dedication, but it's still all learning, and it's all learning something new. So the mindset of a lifelong learner is one of curiosity and that kind of, well, what's all that about then? What's going on there? How does that work? And I'm going to give you a little bit of an example. My parents are in their 80s, and they both have this naturally curious mindset. They always have done. And they just want to learn new stuff. And my dad, seriously into his technology, loves it all. And he will be the first to say, no idea how that works, but wow, I want to learn how to use it. And I think the COVID pandemic really opened up this concept of how important certain bits of technology can be. And for my dad, who is hard of hearing, seriously hard of hearing, and he doesn't like talking on the telephone, he struggles on the telephone, Zoom, oh my gosh, and WhatsApp video, game changer, absolute game changer for him. Now when I call him, I'll call him on video call, talk for ages, hours. It's wonderful, it's really lovely. But it took time for us to teach my parents how to use that bit of technology. Now they just do it all the time. It's just become part of what they do. And it's those sorts of things, is once we can relate to something when we're learning it, then it's easy, isn't it? It's when we have to learn something and it's a bit of a drag. So that's a different thing altogether. But this whole idea of a mindset, it's about having an open mind and a natural curiosity to want to know what is going on. So, and that kind of brings me on to the joy of learning. Now, every winter, I learn a new knitting stitch. It's something that I've done for years. I tend to do my yarn crafts, my knitting, crochet, and sewing, or embroidery type of sewing in the winter. And it's something that I like to do snuggled up on my armchair, or sometimes with my cats. Nearly always with the cats. They go, oh, she's getting the yarn out. Excellent. I'll come and join her because it'd be nice and warm and cozy. But I like to learn something new. So there are some times when I'm knitting that I want to have a chat with somebody, or I want to watch something on the television. So I don't actually want to think about my knitting. I just want to be working with my hands. But there are other times when, no, I want to learn something new, and that takes dedicated time and concentration. I learn how to do it. I'm going to learn how to do that. Brilliant. And it's that joy that I think is the key. If you're going to learn something new for the fun of it, oh my gosh, how wonderful is that? And learning comes in lots and lots of different ways. So as some of you know, and I talk about it a lot, I'm a dancer, and I dance with a group of amazing people. We are all over the age of 55, and most of us are well over the age of 55. And it's an absolute joy. It's contemporary ballet, and it is great. And one of the things that we absolutely love to do is to learn set pieces of choreography, because it's not only brilliant for our bodies, but it's fantastic for our brains. We need to learn the choreography, and it's about being spatially aware, being aware of our own bodies, where we are in that space and where everybody else is. And that is brilliant. The other love that I have is singing, and I sing with an a cappella group called Academics, and we learn everything off by heart. And that is a really good discipline. That's it's brilliant. You're kind of thinking, I'm never going to do that. Never going to be able to do it. But we do. And you can as well. And it's that building the confidence to initially start, but the joy afterwards. Oh my gosh. So there's the joy of the actual process of learning, which is great fun and really good. And then there's that joy of completing something like a course or a book that you've been reading where you've been learning about something. And this is what I really want to emphasize, is those kind of unexpected benefits, because there's the obvious benefit. So for example, me learning a new knitting stitch, have the pleasure of actually learning how to do it, and then the kind of the self-satisfaction of, yes, I've done it and it looks like it's supposed to look. Hey, but there's an unexpected bit as well, and that is the confidence that it brings me to then try something new. And that's the bit that I really want to emphasize as well, that sense of accomplishment, however small or big. And I think this is really, really good. I'm just going to refer back to my notes because I'm making sure that I haven't missed anything. Oh yes, I've just written a note on the joy of being a beginner. And when we get older, there's this kind of expectation that, you know, we're supposed to know everything by now. Do you feel like that? Like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm 61 years old. Shouldn't I know that by now? Why don't I know that? But we know that, you know, in reality, there's loads of things we don't know. And being a beginner is great, isn't it? Because what are the expectations? If you don't know anything at all, everything that you do is a bonus. It's just like, brilliant. I'm starting from scratch. I have nothing, and now I have something. So really wanted to emphasize that. I'd forgotten about that, of the absolute joy of being a beginner. I love it. I love it. And then thirdly is this kind of ripple effect, which kind of leads on to what I've just been talking about. But the ripple effect is these connections, because when you learn something new, you're making the connections in your brain, but you tend to then talk about it to somebody else. And it could be somebody else who is on your same journey. So it could be you're in a class and you're all learning how to speak Italian. And so you're on this journey together. And so you're building those relationships with the people that you're also learning the language with. And straight away, there's a bond. There's an immediate bond. So there's that sort of connection. But the other thing that I've found, especially through teaching, is quite often I have had to learn something new or to improve my skills in something so that I can then teach it. And there's a bit of a joke in the teaching world that you only actually have to be 2 steps ahead of your students. I see where it is, and certainly on some things I have had to really up my game, because I've had a particularly creative student, for example, who wants to learn how to do da 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 da, and I am a bit rusty on that, so I've had to relearn to do that or learn it from scratch. And again, it's when we share our knowledge with somebody else, that's just wonderful. That is just part of this ripple effect. And the big one for me is that it expands the horizons. Like I said right at the beginning, when we start to learn about something, it can take us down a rabbit warren of amazing things. And, oh, I'm going to go here, then I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here. And an example of that was when I was in Nova Scotia last month, which I loved. So any of you from Nova Scotia, I loved being there. Absolutely. I would go back tomorrow. Absolutely beautiful. I went to the Hooked Rug Museum in Hubbard's, and I spent 2 hours there. It was amazing. Now, I know quite a bit about textiles. and I know about embroidery and weaving and crochet and knitting and all of this kind of stuff. And I've done rag rugs, but I've never done hooked rugs. And so for me, it was like, vroom, I need to learn how to do this because this is beautiful. So that was fine. So that was kind of like that path. But then that then took me on to the hooked rugs that have been made 100 years ago, 200 years ago, the stories behind it, the First Nations people, the community, the women who would work these beautiful pieces. And that just took me down another journey altogether. And I went, well, whoa, look at this. And then I started looking at the landscape, and then that started taking me down another journey. And this is what happens. And I think if you are a human being, you have a natural curiosity and a natural creativity to want to explore all of these types of things. And the final thing, I am keep looking at my notes because I've just got so many things in my head, is I love learning with other people as well. I do a lot of learning all by myself and I enjoy that, but I do like learning as part of a community. That can be hugely rewarding, and this is why I love with my dance class and my singing, is when we are learning together, and when we learn together we can support each other. You can help someone, they can help you, you have a shared experience, and that is so rich. So it's very easy, isn't it, to fall into a routine of only doing what we know how to do and to just keep repeating that. And the trouble is, if we just keep repeating that, life is going to actually get quite dull and monotonous. And this is why, again, I've mentioned lots of times about taking that step out of our comfort zone to challenge ourselves just a little bit and to learn something new. It is never too late. Never too late. And I'm just going to encourage you to go out and embrace the world and find something new to learn. And let me know what you are going to learn this week. Make a little plan for yourself. Maybe it's something that you've always thought about doing and never done. And here's me giving you permission to do that. So let me know. Keep learning, keep growing, lovely, lovely people. And if you'd like to learn some more, you could look at this one of my art tutorials, or another Wednesday Wandering over here. And if you haven't liked yet, and you've got this far, please like it. That would be really nice. And if you haven't subscribed, perhaps you would like to do that as well. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.